Just before we begin with today's video, I just wanted to give a very big shout out to James for making us loads of Send It merch. Big thank you to you. We've got t-shirts. This is mine. This is my personal copy, a personal sample. I've got a flask. I mean, this is brilliant. Absolutely love this. Look at that. Got the Send It's Weather merch, and I do apologise about the blurry camera, but you get the idea. And I've also got coasters. I love coasters, so I mean, I've got for my mug of tea, you know, with the Send It's mug. This one isn't by James, by the way. This one's just something I keep on my desk, but the flask is definitely getting used. And we've also got, which is my personal favourite, the pin badges, which I think are really cool. I did just want to note, by the way, if anyone's interested, I am considering doing a little giveaway, giving back to you a lot, with some stickers. I've got quite a few spare, and if anyone is interested, let me know in the comments. And in a future video, or live stream or whatever, we'll see what we can sort out. Maybe comment Send It down below to let me know that you're interested. On with the video. Right then, hello everyone and welcome back to Send It's Weather channel. Today we are looking at the latest from the models for the next couple of weeks to see what they are showing. We're starting off on the 20th of May with high pressure centred just to our west and northwest, and we're under a slack gradient from the east or northeast, bringing in a few showers, and I've seen a few pop up in the west and the southwest today. If we look at the UKV very quickly, I'll just show you the current trend or the current pattern at about 8-9 o'clock. And as you can see, we've got some rain for the Southwest Midlands and of the West Midlands, I should say. And it is quite patchy. It has been a little bit more widespread than this has shown. But look at the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland had some pretty heavy rainfall today. And that is due to the slack pressure gradient allowing showers to form. Now, what's the trend going into the latter part and the final week of May, going into the first and second weeks of June? Well, things might get a little bit more interesting. So we've got high pressure set over into the west of the country and southwest of the country. Winds are going into more of a northerly direction, going into the 22nd of May, so Thursday. So it is feeling a little bit more cooler and showery. You can see temperature deviation is a little bit below average for the time of year. Going beyond that, high pressure topples over the top of the country. Winds are returning into more of an Atlantic driven direction as the Atlantic makes a push. Low pressure's just sat to the north of Scotland. High pressure's away to our west and southwest. Winds are in from off the Atlantic, so remaining cool and showery by the 25th of May. Particularly further north, looks quite nasty on Sunday this weekend. With that area of low pressure sat just over Scotland, that could be bringing heavy bouts of rain. Further southwards though, more showery and cool of course. Going beyond that, into Monday and Tuesday into next week, remaining from a westerly direction with the wind direction. High pressure remains stubborn to the south, so we actually do begin to drag in some warmer air. As you can see, by Thursday the 29th of May, we have high pressure beginning to ridge further northwards. We are bringing more of a southwesterly, a long fetch southwesterly, and that is beginning to drag in some warmer air masses once again, which is pretty good for the time of year. As we go into the start of June, we do see a bit of a pattern change developing, so it begins to try and turn more mild, or milder. But this run today, on the 12Z run, actually turns us slightly cooler. We have an area of low pressure sat right at the top of the country on the 3rd of June. We've got high pressure remaining just to our south and west, winds are in from the southwest. We are remaining pretty changeable. However, as we go into the final frames of this run, high pressure builds out to our west and we turn into more of a northerly direction, making it quite cool. The -5 line into Scotland there, not sure about that. Temperature deviation is pretty cool, but high pressure out to our west, winds in from the northeast. However, this is not well supported, because if we have a look at the previous run, it had high pressure right at the top of the country, and we are actually bringing in the 10-degree isotherm. So a bit of a model disagreement, but it is so far out, it's not to be worried about. If we have a look at the GM by comparison, then high pressure remains out and just to our west. Winds are in from a northerly direction, going to the latter part of this week. As we go beyond that, that high pressure begins to topple. Low pressure exits in, enters in from off the Atlantic, and we do turn more unsettled, particularly further north. Obviously cooler and more showery and changeable, of course, as well. Now, as we go beyond that, high pressure then builds to our south over Spain. Winds are up from a mild southwesterly, getting the 10-degree isotherm into the country. And this is ridiculous. In the last frame of the run, the 15-degree isotherm is getting into the south, into the south and the southeast coast. We've got high pressure sat over France. That's bringing up the wind from a southerly or southwesterly direction. Or more of a southerly direction. The winds are up from Spain, and that is dragging up some pretty warm or even hot air for the time of year. If we have a look at the 2-metre temperatures, 29 degrees, pretty nice, isn't it? But for the rest of the run, it is looking a little bit more changeable until the very end, around 200 hours, which is still a way away. With this 10 degrees firm moving in. Now, that would be pretty nice, and it would get the temperatures into the mid-20s, maybe even high 20s or low 30s, considering the time of year, end of May, start of June. But we'll have to wait and see how it develops. But it does have a little ridge in the Atlantic to watch out for. That could try and bring down cooler winds from the north. You can see that big temperature contrast, 0 degrees firm for the north of Scotland, 15 degrees firm into the southeast. Pretty big temperature contrast there. And if we have a look at the 2-metre temperatures, you can see 11 degrees for Scotland, 28 in the south. So pretty big contrast. Comparing that to the ECM then, we've got high pressure again out to our west and southwest. Winds are in from the north, from a northerly direction into the latter part of this week. Remaining quite dry, but again, slacker gradients could allow a few showers to form, particularly in the east. As we go into the early part of next week, high pressure remains to our south and southwest. Winds are in from off the Atlantic, so again, cooler and more showery, particularly the further north, but not exclusively. With the ECM, tries to build heights again to our east, bringing up a southerly or southwesterly direction wind. An area of low pressure forms within that flow, though, within the jet stream. That gets stuck over top of Scotland, and winds go into more of a westerly direction again, so a little bit more changeable with this run as well. So that idea of a hot spell may have been dissipated within the models today, because you can see the previous run had a 10 degrees firm moving into much of the country with an area of low pressure out to the west on the midnight run, compared to the 12Z run, which has an area of low pressure over the top. Winds are in from the northwest instead of the southwest. So bit of uncertainty, I must say, to the end of the run. However, I will say that it is definitely turning more changeable. But into the first week of June does look a little bit more remains to be seen, let's just say, because there is a little bit of uncertainty. If we have a look at the diagrams like we normally do, we'll have a look at London today for the 12Z runs from the GFS. You can see that we have from the 850 H2 temperatures. For the next week, we are oscillating around to slightly below average with the upper temperatures and a little bit more unsettled. You can see some shower peaks showing up. But again, nothing ridiculous. There's no absolutely huge precipitation spikes. Might be some on the 21st, so tomorrow, with a few showers in the east and southeast, with that slacker gradient allowing a few showers to form. Going into the longer term, though, into the start of June, you know, it's around to slightly above average, but there's not a distinct trend, really. There are a few, you know, pretty warm or even hot ensemble members up here, but equally there are a few cooler runs, or sticking around average, I should say. So again, remains to be seen to the longer term. I will say that it does look likely that we will probably turn a bit warmer again into the final days of May and into the first week of June, but again, it remains to be seen. Finally, to finish off, we'll have a look at the UKV to see what it is actually showing for the rest of this week. So into Wednesday, we do see some quite heavy showers form in the south and southwest. Due to that little weakening of pressure, that could bring some quite widespread showers to the southwest of England there, the southwest, spreading into eastern Wales there, and the southwest Midlands. Going through, though, this could be quite heavy, but it does dissipate quite quickly into the early hours of Wednesday, leaving a few showers behind. Some of these could be heavy, and potentially even a few rumbles of thunder, a little bit of cape around. Could allow a few thunderstorms to form in some areas. Now, going beyond that, we can see a thick cloud develops. There could be a few showers for the east and the south, in the for the east, in the southeastern region in particular, and also the northeast coast through Wednesday and Thursday. And then it looks a little bit drier. Some thick cloud before a weather front moves in from off the Atlantic, which brings some quite widespread rain to much of the country. Going beyond that, though, another weather front on Sunday, marking the boundary between the milder air and the slightly cooler and fresher air, and we turn more unsettled beyond that with showers developing, particularly in the north and the west, and also the Republic of Ireland. Moving on finally to the CFS, the longer range model, to see what it is showing today. So for May, again, low pressures out to our east, high pressures just to our south and west, winds are in from the northwest. We can already tell you that's not happened. If we go to June, you can see it looks like quite hot June. High pressures over and just to the east of the country, but we also have a ridge in the Atlantic Winds are in from a southerly or southeasterly direction. Low pressure set over Spain. That could be quite volatile and quite hot as well. Not going to go beyond that because I'll get shouted at in the comments, but it does definitely does look a little bit more promising for the June updates. We'll have to wait and see when I make my forecast. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate your continued support. Comment, send it down below if you want to see some, if you want to receive some stickers, and I'll see you all in the next one.